Hello there, this is Debbie Heiser, and I am so stinking excited to share this new season 4 with you. And I can't believe that this is already the 4th season of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. And I just want to thank each of you who listen. And my hope is that the tools, the thoughts and experiences I share, as well as the work I've done to love myself, love others, and love the work I'm called to do, that also helps me lead a truly lit up life, will help you move into a more lit up life yourself. A few things to look for in this season. Super excited to share that we're going to be coming to you now every week with episodes jam-packed with information to serve you. Every other week, you'll hear from a guest who's leading a life that they love, and I'll be asking them to share their stories, how they got there, and any thoughts or advice that they can give you, our loyal listeners. We have new music too, and I'm so thrilled to introduce this song called Ride, sung and co-written by my friend, Miss Jackie Wilson. And she, along with her collaborators, Tyler Banks, David DJ Lee, and Chris Renee, are super talented and generous, as this song fits perfectly into the thought of stepping into your best life. To follow any or all of these talented folks, check out the show notes for their social handles. Thanks again for listening. Enjoy season 4 and do us a solid and leave us a rating and a comment to help us be able to share more with people across the globe. Now, let's get started with this episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Lead Your Life with Debbie Heiser. I am so excited today to have Alice on with us, Alice Sloane. She lives in Sandpoint. She's lucky enough, like I am, to live in this beautiful town. And I want to tell you a little bit about how I met Alice. Alice and I met through a networking here. It was called 7B Women. It was a group of business women from all over the county and even other counties that would get together once a month. And then throughout the time, 7B Women kind of shifted, but through the time I've been watching Alice on Facebook and Instagram, and over COVID, over the pandemic, she really started to shift some things. And I saw this like new energy about her. And so I reached out to her and I said, I'd love to have you as a guest, because I've seen her, not that, Alice, you haven't led a lit up life in the past, but I've seen this new light about you. And I know health has been a piece of that. And so I just found it so interesting and fascinating. And I wanted to talk to you. And so that's why Alice is on today. I'm going to let her introduce herself professionally, because she can do that much better than me. And so Alice, take a few minutes, tell us what you do in the world, how you serve the world. I know you have a W-2 paying job, plus, you're doing some things on the side. So tell us about like what you do in the world. Introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, thank you so much for having me here. This is an honor. I've never done a podcast before, so a little nervous, but because of what I've done over the last year and a half, I'm actually pretty comfortable on the camera and talking to people who aren't really there. So that works well for me today. And I appreciate that you've noticed the shift, because like you said, it wasn't like I was living a dull life before, but I've definitely made a lot of mindset changes in the last year. And so my goal is to share those with people online, as well as my health and wellness journey. And so I'm glad that you picked up on that. So a little bit about me. I am actually from the Midwest. I grew up in Iowa, born and raised there. And then,
wait a second, stop. Where at in Iowa?
Bettendorf.
Oh, okay. We used to go up there. I was a swim team coach, and we used to go up to Bettendorf to do that. So, because I lived in Kansas City. Sorry, keep going. I didn't know that about you.
I was a swimmer.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. Did you do swim meets at your little local pool there? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes. Yeah.
We could have been at the same place at the same time.
Yeah. I swam all up until I was in high school.
Yeah.
So that is hilarious. Small world.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So it's part of my background and part of my story, actually, a lot of people don't know, is that I went to a military boarding school as well for 2 years in high school, which in that model there, it was leadership was like drilled into us. So I had a lot of leadership background education. I also had several like professors and teachers. My swim coach was actually a major from, the Army. And so I have a lot of that like military influence in me, which most people would never know. So that's a piece of my background that a lot of people don't know about. And then how I ended up in Idaho is kind of a funny story. I knew I wanted to move somewhere near the mountains. I graduated with a marketing and business bachelor's degree in 2009. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? There's no jobs. There's like nothing. So I had spent a lot of time with children. I had traveled to Thailand and taught English there. And I said, why not be a nanny and like have that be a catalyst to move me somewhere. So I met a family online and we talked over the phone a few times. This was like before video chat was a thing. And then I just moved out here. I drove in my Honda CRV with like no snow tires on it in January, all the way up to Priest Lake, Idaho. And then I ended up meeting my husband at Schweitzer sort of on my weekends. And I've done a lot of things since that in my career, mostly in sales and relationship building is what I like to call it, at several different local organizations here. And then I've kind of ended up in my W-2 job for the last 3 years. During that time, I also had 2 beautiful children. So I have 2 girls, 11 and 8. And I would say that's definitely a huge part of my life lessons that I've learned over the last couple of years as well. I've always been invested in my community. I get that from my grandmother. Philanthropy just comes naturally to me. I've always wanted to give back. Why we did 7 Women with an amazing group of women. Currently, I sit on the giving committee board for the company I work for, Lighthouse. And then whenever there's other opportunities in the community, I like to participate in those as well. So I feel like I could keep going, but that's, kind of me in a nutshell. And I feel like you'll pull whatever else needs to be said out today.
Yeah, thank you, Alice. And I know you're doing kind of a side gig. And so I'm going to ask you, and I know part of this, for those of you that are listening, my community that's listening, is that I know you've been very, I don't know the word I'm looking for, like very soft in kind of your approach to what you're doing. But can you tell us like your side gig? What are you doing? Because I know health became a focus for you. I saw that happen on social media. And like, what was the catalyst for you to decide I need to do something? And not that you were unhealthy before. So, but I saw this like visible shift of, okay, I'm going into a health mode, right? Like, what was the catalyst for that? And then what are you doing with that?
Yeah. So, and I think it's funny because this morning I was like, oh, we're going to talk about mom, like the mom thing is going to come up today. So working moms, it's not easy to decide like where you want to split your energy during the day, right? Like there can be pressure or mom guilt or, like, oh, I have to reach my goals now, or I'm going to miss out if it, and so I was having all of that, like overwhelmingly, like felt like I just needed to get to my goals and why wasn't I there yet? And like, I realized that I had gotten to this place where I literally had no energy for anyone. I didn't have energy for my job. I did not have energy for my kids or my husband or myself. And my body was like kind of shutting down, telling me that I needed to shift. And I'm grateful that I have some people in my life that are very intuitive, and have kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. So I could realize that like I needed to make a shift. And it was actually before the pandemic that I did realize that. I was traveling a lot for work, a lot, like 2 or 3 times a month. And I think that's hard for moms out there, right? Or dads. Really, that's hard on any family when you have someone leaving. And so my health had deteriorated. I was weight wise, sort of the heaviest that I had been. And I was, more than anything, after I started my health journey, I realized it wasn't like about the body or the weight, it was about the energy and the mental, emotional health. So I started working out and got in a great community here locally. The gym I go to is Momentum. They're amazing. And then like 6 months in, I was like really pushing hard, and I kind of had like set myself some physical goals at that time. And I was sort of plateauing. And I have this great friend down in Texas who very softly, gently introduced me to some amazing products, which a doctor had recommended, like collagen and all these other things anyway. So I was like, yeah, I need to kind of up that part of my game. And that really propelled me into like hitting my physical goals. And then I realized at that point we were like in the pandemic, and financially I could see that we were going to need another source of income, basically, for many reasons. But so I was like, okay, the way I was introduced to this was really gentle, and I liked that. And I think I could do that. And I love social media. I've always loved social media. And so that's how I got introduced to, having this health and wellness journey also be a source of income for myself.
Yeah. Well, and Alice, I love how you talk about energy. I have been doing some research and listening to some podcasts about how we as a culture in this like diet culture, right? And how it's really messed us up. And, I look at my own health journey and how like I've skewed thought processes because of that, watching my mom do the cabbage diet or the Atkins diet or,
Yeah.
all of these things. And I did my own, and I see how that's manifested even in my 29-year-old son, right? And his body image and some of those types of things. And I have shifted over the last few years, even like looking at that as like holistic health, right? Like mentally and physically and spiritually and intellectually, all of those things matter. And we can't show up in the world and do what we're called to do, right? Like if we physically don't feel well. And I know you're not at this age yet, but like I had this moment when I started to go through menopause that it's like, my energy was just depleted. And I'm one of those people, and I get the impression you are too, just from watching you and knowing you around town. Like we give 120%, right? Like, and you're in sales, and I get that, right? Like that's my DNA too. And so it's like, we just go. And when all of a sudden our energy, something shifts in our energy, it's really hard to function. And I remember like going through the week, and on Saturdays, I was like no good to anyone, right? Like I could have stayed in bed all day. And I know about myself, I need 8 hours of sleep. And if I don't get 8 hours of sleep, I have to catch up somewhere with that. But that's what I hear you saying is like noticing, right? Like being mindful and aware of what that energy is, and the energy exchanges that take place. And so to me, I love that approach that you have. And when I think about, like, as you're talking about moms, that really resonates with me. When my son, I mean, he's 29 now, but when he was small, I traveled at least a week out of the month. And I remember too, that transition period, right? Like you leave, and then it's like your husband handles everything, and then you come back and you're like, oh, it's all the same as it was. And it's like, no, we've been handling things just fine, right? And there's that like transition period, which can also deplete us of energy, right? And so tell me, and I might push a little bit on this and you can tell me to stop, but like, what is the product?
Yeah. So, I like to say what you just said kind of, and I have been able to help a lot of women that are going through menopause. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up. It is a holistic view on health. It is the hero products are collagen based, but they're a liquid collagen, and it's a matrix. So it's got hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, which makes up like the good parts of our bones and our joints to make them move, which, in your mid-20s, we really stop producing all of those things. And so this is also bioavailable. So not only are you ingesting the collagen, but it also turns on your body to create collagen again. And then since it's in a liquid molecule, you absorb like 90% of it. A lot of the powders, it's like a 30%. So there's a lot of science behind that, but tons of gut health, amazing gut health products that have been just huge game changers for me. And when we're talking about emotional and energy, like that brain gut connection is so huge. And so for me, when I started taking this one product, like the bloating went away, a lot of some food sensitivities, but the most important thing for me was that I wasn't losing it on my kids.
Yeah.
Like literally I was more stable because my microbiome was healthier. And it was like, I wasn't having those spikes of like frustration, with my kiddos when their energy is off in the morning. And especially my 8-year-old, like that age can be so rolly. And like, this morning she was like, really wanting everyone to be in a bad mood. And I was just like, we're not going to let that happen tonight.
Yeah.
So lots of collagen and lots of gut health, amazing skincare. And the collagen's obviously great for your hair, nails, skincare. So that's kind of a nutshell on what the products are.
Okay, so 2 questions on that. One, I'm being for my own self because I can't have any beef products. And so like I miss having my collagen. And I know they make chicken collagen and that kind of stuff too, but is it all beef-based collagen or is it? No.
And actually, so it's chicken-based. And there's a reason why, because as humans, we share a DNA link with chicken. And so we don't have to process the collagen, so it absorbs better. It's kind of a misnomer that with beef, it's actually, there's no like DNA share there.
Yeah.
And we take our collagen from the sternum of a chicken. A lot of the collagen with beef is taken from just like very random parts of the body and whatever. So, so no, this is all chicken type 2. So you could definitely have it. And it basically you absorb it better because there's less thinking for the body to do because it's already ready for you.
Okay. So what's the name of the company that you're doing the side gig with?
So the name of the company is Modere.
Okay.
And they've been around creating clean living products for about 30 years. So we have amazing gray water safe household cleaning products. All of the packaging is 100% recycled. Facility 100% wind powered, like such a cool company.
That's
the
great.
CEO, Ozma Isak, is incredible. I could go on and on about her, like having a woman CEO, love that, just connect with her. And so it's kind of shifted from what I would say is a traditional MLM direct sales model is what it was originally into what they call social retail. And so they basically restructured the compensation plan so that it would be friendly to have customers and you can have traditional like team building on the business, but it's very different. And so I think that's why my approach is very gentle.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And so like, as you took these products and got introduced to them, it's not all about the product too, like you were doing the work, right? So tell me like, what's changed for you? How like, what's changed for you?
So I think, I have to give a lot of credit to God, universe, whoever, whatever you want to call it. Because there was just some very special people put in my life. at the right time when I was ready to make the change, but they were there. And my dear friend, Elizabeth Gableman, who I really met online, her husband and my brother went to high school together. And so I've known him for years, but not very well, and she just reached out and connected on social media. And, I kind of just got engaged in her life and what they were doing because she was sharing a lot, and a lot of what she was sharing resonated with me. And I was like, oh, I can totally relate to that. Like, and she just was lifting me up in a way that she didn't even know. Right. And so I reached out to her because I'm a chapped lip sufferer. Yeah. And I got this lip complex from the Modere company from her. And then I like slowly started trying other products. But I will say that, the group that I have joined in with through Modere has just been really special. And I realized I don't like this, what's going on in the world about calling everyone toxic people or whatever. I really don't like that, because I feel like there are people in my life that don't serve me right now, but I have an open, loving heart for them.
Absolutely.
And we were friends at one point, right? So I'm never going to be like, oh, that's a toxic person and I need them out of my life. But I just brought in this circle of like very engaged, very motivated women who rallied around me. And that was like a non-existent thing at that point in time, because one, you weren't able to be around your friends really.
Right.
And so you're just kind of in your own work circle or your family. And yeah, they just really boosted me and motivated me. So I would just say like that group of people I was ready to make the changes. And then they like 100% supported me in the most positive way possible.
Yeah. And Alice, thank you for bringing that up, because what I'm hearing you say is a lot of what I talk about. Like, you have to have the desire, right? Like, desire is causative, and we're always in cause. It just depends on what effect you want, right? And because there's always an effect to whatever is happening. But along with that, when you drop in and make that decision, it's important to surround yourself with community. And it's the law of vibration. Like, you were vibrating at a different frequency. So when you talk about the law of sacrifice, where maybe you don't spend as much time with some people in your life, we move into different containers. I always say, as much as I hate to use the analogy of what am I trying to say? Those hermit crabs, right? That like change shells. It's like you change shell, right? Like you change containers and you vibrate at a different frequency. And so therefore people are attracted to you, and you're attracted to people with that same vibration, right? And so what I'm hearing you say is that the gut health, the physical health is important, but it's also important to surround yourself with people. I don't want to say like-minded people, because I think that diversity is important. And I hear you saying too, like, interestingness is important to you, but like having people that are vibrating at that same level and want to support you. I know for me, being in this mastermind that I'm in, this international mastermind, that's what I get from that, right? Like, I just know I have this group of women that support me and help me to move forward without judgment. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you say. Those people showed up for you.
Yeah. And two things really quickly on that, because I love what you just said. So what I will say on this team that we have and we're creating is diversity in culture, right? And that is so important, to feel like you can come in and be who you are, but you also have, like you're saying, that same energy, attraction, vibration that's going on. You still need those people, but the group is very diverse in cultures, beliefs, all of those things. And so it is just really such a beautiful thing. And then one other thing you said was sacrifice. And I think another huge shift that I made was really like how I viewed sacrifice. Right.
Yeah. Tell me more.
because I think before I was like, oh, I'm going to miss out on this or miss out on that. But it's more like now I'm like, okay, well, I'm giving up that, but I'm getting this. Like I get to spend more time with my family, or, I'm gonna learn this, or I am gonna have this benefit in the long term. And I think it is also that mind shift of like having instant gratification on goals and more understanding. And my husband is really good at this, like bringing me down to earth and being like, we have such a great life right now too, right? So like, I still have my goals for the future, pay attention and enjoy what's going on right now. But a lot of the, like, what I would have considered a sacrifice 2 years ago, I'm like, oh, that's actually like a benefit now that I don't have to do that, or that I'm not making that bad decision. And so I think mindset on sacrifice can be huge.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of people are afraid of the sacrifice, thing. And I like how you said you had to reframe that, right? Because sacrifice is not a bad thing. It just means things are shifting, right? And so tell me, like, as we go forward, and I think there's so many, like, I could probably talk to you for an hour, and so we need to do coffee offline. but like, as people are listening, and as the community that are listening to this podcast, if they wanted to know more about you, more about the actual products you sell, and are interested in that, because it sounds like it helps people, like, from a holistic health, because as you and I both know, and you talked about this, your gut is attached to your brain. When I was in Paris, I was so fogged out because you cannot eat anything there without dairy, right? Like, and I don't do dairy. I'm allergic to whey, right? So it's like, there is such a connection there. And what I love about what you're doing is it's a holistic approach, and the products are a piece that supplement and help you to get there. So if somebody's really interested in that, where would they go to find out more and potentially talk to you about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am on Facebook, Instagram, and newly sort of TikTok. But so it's Alice Sloane on Facebook. And then my Instagram handle is sassymcsloane.com. That's a nickname that came from college and just never left. And that's how you can find me on TikTok too, is Sassy McSloane. And yeah, please come ask questions, engage. I would love to follow you back. I like to engage and meet new people through social media. The attraction marketing is really how I do my business, and my goal really is to connect with people on those platforms and to hopefully provide something for you of value.
Fantastic. Well, Alice, thank you so much. It's been such a joy. And for those of you listening, thank you for listening in. And I look forward to more engagement. And if you want to learn how you can work with me or learn a little bit more about me, go to my website at www.leadyourlituplife.com and feel free to book a 30-minute consult. I love to just connect with people, and no pressure about anything. Just want to chat with you. So with that, everyone have a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week. See the colors of the rain, find your own kind of happy.